My name is Amelia. I'm 54 years old, and I never imagined my life would take such a turn. The story I'm about to share is unlike anything you've heard before. Stick around until the end of the video, because I have a surprise for you. Let's get started from the outside. Everyone would say I had a perfect life. My husband, Henry, was a successful businessman in the finance industry. We had been married for 18 years, and people saw us as the ideal couple. But no one could see the ESS hiding beneath that perfect image. Over the past few years, Henry had become a workaholic, and our relationship had grown colder. Our conversations rarely went beyond daily routines. I started feeling a deep loneliness in my marriage, constantly longing for the passionate days of our early years. Everything changed when Caleb, my stepson from Henry's first marriage, moved in with us. Caleb was 25 years old and had just finished his master's degree. He decided to stay with us for a few months to start fresh in his career. This quiet, introverted young man brought a new energy to our home. Caleb had a sensitivity I hadn't seen in a long time. Every conversation with him felt like had truly listened to me. Around the same time, Henry's nephew Adam came to stay with us for a few weeks. Adam was only a few years younger than Caleb, but had a completely different personality. He was lively, witty, and bold. His carefree attitude and constant efforts to make me laugh sparked something inside me. One evening when Henry was away on a business trip, Caleb, Adam, and I sat in the living room after dinner having drinks and chatting. Adam was sharing childhood stories and teasing Caleb when he suddenly turned to me and said, "Amelia, I didn't know you were such a great listener. Talking to you feels so comforting." In that moment, I felt a warmth I hadn't experienced in a long time. As the night went on, our conversation grew deeper. Caleb started sharing his frustrations and mistakes from the past, saying he had always wanted someone to inspire him in life. When his eyes locked with mine, I couldn't hide the flutter in my chest. In the days that followed, I found myself spending more time with Caleb and Adam. Caleb's thoughtful nature and Adam's endless efforts to make me laugh made me feel young and alive again. But deep down, it also left me feeling conflicted one day, while Adam was cooking in the kitchen. An unexpected moment of closeness occurred between us. When our eyes met, the tension was undeniable. Similarly, during a quiet afternoon alone with Caleb, I felt the weight of the emotions in his gaze. I didn't know where these tangled connections were heading, but I could feel them growing stronger with each passing day. While I was experiencing those moments, my mind was in constant turmoil. On one hand, I knew these feelings were wrong, but on the other hand, I couldn't suppress the desire growing inside me. I felt torn between Caleb's quiet, sensitive, and thoughtful nature, and Adam's fun, bold, and passionate personality. But with each passing day, he felt freer and more alive. In their presence, one afternoon we were alone. Home. Adam suggested we have a barbecue in the garden when we went outside. Caleb joined us as the three of us spent time. Together, I felt more relaxed than ever. Before, Adam kept making jokes to make me laugh, while Caleb deepened our conversations in a calm and meaningful way. At that moment, I realized something. Both of them touched me in different ways. With Caleb, I felt an emotional connection I hadn't experienced in a long time. Talking to him pushed me to rediscover a part of myself I'd lost years ago. Adam, on the other hand, was completely different. His bold, energetic attitude excited me and reminded me of the fun and passion missing from my life. As I tried to make sense of these conflicting emotions, I realized I didn't want to make a choice. Caleb and Adam both offered me everything I had been searching for. One gave me deep peace and connection, while the other brought uncontrolled excitement and passion. I felt it would be unfair to force myself to
choose between these two men that night when we were alone with Caleb and Adam. I knew I couldn't hide anymore. I needed to confess something. I looked at me carefully. My heart was racing. What I'm about to say may surprise you, but every
moment is spent with you both. Makes me feel reborn. Caleb talking to you gives me a sense of deep peace. Adam, you remind me how to live life to the fullest. I want to be with both of you at the same time. At my confession, both of them fell silent as my eyes shifted from one to the other. I tried to suppress attention. Inside me, after a while, Caleb took a deep breath and quietly said, I'm not sure how this will affect us, but to be honest, I feel the same way. Adam, with his usual laid-back attitude, added, life is lived once, right? Maybe we need to step outside of some rules. Hearing this, I felt a sense of relief inside me. There was nothing left to hide that night. A new chapter of my life began. I didn't know where this would lead, but one thing was certain: I could never go back to my old life, the bond I had formed with Caleb. And Adam made me feel stronger than I'd ever felt before that night. Caleb, Adam, and I were sitting in the living room, opening bottles of wine. It was one of those evenings when Henry was away, on a business trip, and after days of building tension, having a few glasses of wine seemed like a good idea. As we filled our glasses, Adam played a song. The melody echoed through the room, and the atmosphere was growing warmer. At first, our conversation was innocent. We talked about life, the future, and our memories. But after a few glasses, our conversation deepened. Adam turned to him quietly and said, Amelia, talking to you is always captivating. It's like time stops. His words surprised me for a moment, but at the same time, they made my heart race. Caleb agreed with Adam's words. You're right, Amelia. I always feel comfortable around you. It's like all the weight of the past disappears. The sincerity in his eyes made his words even more meaningful. In those warm expressions, I felt the bond between the three of us intensify in an instant. After a while, Adam stood up and turned up the music. After all this drinking, we can't just sit. We should dance, he said, extending his hand to me. I smiled slightly, took his hand, and we began toe dance. Adam's playful and relaxed movements made me laugh, but at the same time his touch sparked a feeling inside me I hadn't felt in a long time. After watching us for a while, Caleb slowly walked over to us. You can't forget about me while having so much fun, he said, placing his hand on my waist, and began dancing with me in front of Adam. Between the two men, my movements felt like a game. Adam's hands held mine gently, but confidently, while Caleb's touch was calmer but equally powerful. At that moment, I felt the emotions I had been holding inside for a long time come to the surface as the dance slowed down. Caleb leaned in toward my face and looked into my eyes. His closeness completely captivated me. At the same time, Adam was behind me, leaning into my neck, his breath brushing against me. Between the three of us, a closeness had formed that words could not describe. As the rhythm of the song echoed in the living room, our movements became slower, more meaningful. Caleb gently ran his fingers through my hair, and Adam placed his hands on my waist, pulling me gently toward him. These moments were so intense, they couldn't be described with words. It was as if the three of us had disappeared into the moment, disconnected from time and space. The effect of the wine made us exchange bolder glances. Caleb, for a moment, slowly took my hand and brought it to his lips. The gesture mesmerized me then. Adam, looking at my face, said, "Amelia, I'll never forget." This moment, that night between touches and glances, we felt the complete erasure of our physical and emotional boundaries. Every move deepened the bond between us. In the darkness, we were telling a story to each other using nothing but our touches that night. As the wine glasses emptied, the atmosphere became even more intimate when the song slowly came to an end. All that could be heard in the living room was the sound of our breaths. This silence only intensified. The tension between us. Caleb looked at me with a slight smile and said, "What makes this night special isn't just the wine." The sincerity in his eyes made me realize once again that what I was feeling wasn't one-sided. Adam moved toward the couch and gestured for me to sit next to him. "Amelia, I think we've needed a night like this for a long time. Honestly, every moment I spend with you teaches me to love life again," he said. The seriousness in his voice revealed the true feelings behind his usual playful demeanor as I sat on the couch. Caleb was right. Next to me together, the three of us sat in silence, feeling each other's presence. Adam reached out and gently touched my face. "I don't understand how someone as beautiful as you could ever feel lonely," he said. His words seemed to open up a wound that had been festering inside me for a long time. Caleb, moving even closer, said, "But you're not alone anymore. We're here." His tone was so soft and sincere that I was struggling to hold back the tears that were welling up in my eyes. In that moment, the presence of these two men was giving me everything I needed: love, passion, and connection. The bond between us was growing stronger with every passing moment. Caleb held my hand gently, squeezing it in his palms, while Adam softly stroked my hair from behind. This moment wasn't just about physical closeness. The connection between the three of us seemed to be built on a deep understanding and harmony. After a while, Caleb let out a light laugh and said, "I think we need to open another bottle of wine to make this night unforgettable." Adam replied, "No need. For wine, I think we're already drunk enough." His playful tone made us all laugh, but at the same time we all knew exactly what he meant. As I leaned back on the couch and closed my eyes, I felt a damp, warm breath on my neck. At the same time, Caleb's hands gently but confidently touched mine. The combined touches from both sides were creating an indescribable wave of happiness and excitement inside me. That night, every move, every glance expressed the passion and connection we felt for each other. I didn't know where the bond between the three of us would lead, but in that moment I had surrendered to what I was feeling. For the first time in my life, I felt completely free, and at the same time more at home than I ever had before. That night the wine bottles were emptied. The music stopped, but the bond between us grew stronger with every passing minute. After hours of conversations, laughter, and touches, the three of us finally collapsed onto the couch as I closed my eyes and tried to steady my breath. There was an indescribable, able peace inside me. I had made the boldest decision of my life, but at the same time I had experienced the happiest night. I could remember the things I felt with Caleb, and Adam seemed to feel a long, missing part of me. I had never felt so free, so alive, and so at peace with my desires as the first light of morning filled the room. Caleb and Adam were already asleep watching them. I felt no trace of regret. On the contrary, that night had marked a turning point for me. In that moment, I realized how lonely I had felt in the past, how suppressed dreams had consumed me for the first time in my life. I was completely myself. I whispered to myself this night was just the beginning. The real story starts now. I closed my eyes thinking about what the new day would bring. Henry's return home, how the special bond between Caleb, Adam, and I would continue. These thoughts swirled in my mind. But one thing was certain. Nothing would ever be the same. Again, as the silence of the night slowly gave way to the dawn, the warmth in the room still lingered. Having Caleb and Adam by my side made me realize how much my life had become routine, how many things I had sacrificed. But tonight it felt like I had regained some of what I had lost. Adam slightly opened his eyes and looked at me. Amelia, this night was like a dream, but I think I don't want this dream to end. He said, his voice echoed the deep connection that lingered from the night his words reignited a spark within me. Caleb slowly came up behind me and placed his hand on my shoulder. Adam's right, this night was just the beginning. Seeing you like this, getting to know the real Amelia is a privilege. He said his words along with. The warmth of his hand on my shoulder made my heart race. The effect of the wine and the atmosphere of the moment had completely overwhelmed my emotions. Our closeness had reached a point of no return. Adam reached out to touch my face, looking into my eyes, touching you, feeling you. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. Caleb stood behind Adam, never taking his eyes off me. His deep gaze and the slight smile on his face made me feel that the bond between us was growing. Even stronger, Adam took a step closer and ran his hand through my hair. At the same time, Caleb's hand wandered along my back, and in that moment, I completely lost myself between the two of them. Amid the touches, I felt as if everything was unfolding with an artistic harmony. Caleb and Adam's movements were perfectly in sync, each touch, each breath, intensifying the atmosphere in the room. The light reflecting from the wine bottle made Caleb's hand on my waist and Adam's fingers on my face stand out even more in those moments. The voice inside me kept whispering that this was one of the most unforgettable moments of my life. The deep connection we shared went beyond physical boundaries. It was a reflection of understanding and harmony. What followed that night was so deep, it couldn't be conveyed with words. The passion, love, and bond we shared were expressed through touches, glances, and movements. Everything unfolded in a natural flow. For now, I want to end